Welcome, wisdom seekers. Today I want to talk about a silent storm, one that rages within the mind, unseen but deeply felt. It's a storm that clouds our vision, colors our experiences, and leaves us tethered to doubt, anxiety, and pessimism. This storm is the ever-present stream of negative thinking. Imagine for a moment that your mind is like a calm lake, reflecting the sky, the trees, and the mountains around it. When it is still, this lake mirrors everything clearly, truthfully. But now, imagine a stone, one of negative thought, dropping into this lake. Ripples spread, disrupting that calm, distorting everything it reflects. Another stone drops, and another. Soon, the lake becomes a chaotic, murky swirl, and we lose clarity, serenity, and purpose. Negative thinking works just like this. It distorts our perception, clouds our inner peace, and leaves us struggling in the darkness of self-doubt, worry, and fear. So how do we break free from this? How do we still the waters of our mind and reclaim that inner clarity? Enter Stoicism, a philosophy practiced and perfected by great thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca. Stoicism offers practical and timeless ways to calm the mind, to develop habits that don't just minimize negative thoughts but transform them into opportunities for growth and strength. It's a philosophy not of distant ideals but of grounded, everyday practices. Today, we'll explore 10 powerful habits to kill negative thinking. Each habit is a tool, a way of seeing, a lens that will help you take control of your mind, silence self-doubt, and reclaim peace and resilience. This journey will demand patience, commitment, and a willingness to confront your inner self. Wisdom seekers, your support means everything. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Every like, subscribe helps us continue our mission of sharing knowledge. Ready to unlock more wisdom? Let's get started. Habit 1. Practice awareness of the present moment. In our pursuit to kill negative thinking, one of the most fundamental habits we must develop is awareness of the present moment. This isn't just a casual suggestion to live in the now. This is a core practice that forms the foundation of a calm and resilient mind. The mind, left unattended, has a habit of drifting to the past, ruminating on mistakes, regrets, or failures, or leaping forward to the future, anxiously predicting outcomes that rarely, if ever, materialize. Epictetus once said, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of them." Imagine the power in that statement. It is not what happens to us, but the way our minds interpret and react to those events that breeds negativity. Our minds, constantly bombarded by distractions, judgments, and fears, tend to spin narratives that have little basis in the truth of the moment. But when we ground ourselves in the present, we bring ourselves into reality, into a space where negativity loses its power. Think of it as stepping out of a fog. When you focus fully on the present, you strip away the imagined fears of the future and the regrets of the past, allowing you to see things as they truly are. You are no longer a prisoner of thoughts that don't belong to the here and now. Imagine for a moment that you're sitting outside on a calm morning, feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin, the gentle breeze, the rustle of leaves. In this moment, there is no space for fear, for regret, or for resentment. There is just what is, this very moment, pure and untouched by mental constructs. And in this simplicity lies a profound peace. Developing awareness of the present moment is no small feat. It requires practice, patience, and most importantly, commitment. You may start with just a few moments each day. Perhaps every morning, spend a few minutes simply observing your breath, the rise and fall, the sensation of air filling your lungs and leaving again. Let yourself focus on each sensation without judgment, without analysis. This practice of mindful awareness trains you to break free from automatic reactions and instead respond consciously to each experience. This, in turn, weakens the grip of negative thoughts. In those moments when fear, self-doubt, or frustration arise, you will find yourself able to pause, to recognize that these thoughts are not reality. They are transient, like passing clouds. When you center yourself in the present, negative thoughts become like background noise, distant and irrelevant. Marcus Aurelius practiced this awareness. As Emperor of Rome, he faced relentless challenges, not only from external enemies, but from the pressures and doubts within his mind. His journal, Meditations, serves as an example of how he grounded himself daily. One of his writings reminds us, "Concentrate every minute like a Roman, like a man. on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice, and on freeing yourself from all other distractions. To truly kill negative thinking, we must learn to return, again and again, to the simplicity of the present. This practice isn't just about positive thinking, it's about dismantling the structure that negativity rests upon. Each time you bring yourself into the present moment, you loosen the grip that fear, doubt, and regret hold over you. In our chaotic, overstimulated world, where our minds are often scattered across many worries and what-ifs, present moment awareness is a revolutionary act. It's a rejection of fear, a refusal to be controlled by thoughts of what could go wrong, and a commitment to living fully in this very moment. As you develop this habit, you may begin to notice subtle but powerful shifts. You might find yourself less affected by stressful situations, less reactive to other people's judgments, and more at ease within your own mind. Over time, this practice cultivates an unshakable inner calm, a resilience that no amount of external chaos can disrupt. So how do we practice awareness in everyday life? Start with something simple, something that doesn't require extra time but simply a shift in focus. When you're eating, take the time to taste each bite, to feel the texture, to notice the flavors without letting your mind drift elsewhere. When you're walking, pay attention to the movement of your body, the sensation of each step. Gradually, this mindful approach will expand, and soon you will find yourself able to apply it in moments of stress or negativity. When anger arises, notice it as a wave of emotion passing through, something you can observe without being overtaken by it. When doubt creeps in, see it as a thought, a creation of the mind that doesn't need to control your actions. This is not an easy habit to cultivate, but it is transformative. Awareness of the present moment frees us from the illusions of the mind, allowing us to see life as it is, and more importantly, to experience it fully. It gives us a foundation of peace that no negative thought can shake, for we know that those thoughts are mere whispers in the vastness of the present. When you live in this awareness, you do not need to fight negative thoughts directly. They dissolve naturally in the light of your presence. You are not suppressing them, you are transcending them. And with time, you come to a profound realization that the peace and strength you've sought outside have always been within you, hidden beneath the noise of the mind. This habit, this practice, is the first step to killing negative thinking. Habit 2. Embrace the power of inner discipline. Discipline. It's a word that many shy away from, yet it holds the key to breaking free from the chains of negative thought. Inner discipline is not about forcing ourselves to think positively or pushing down negativity with sheer willpower. Instead, it is the cultivation of a focused mind, a mind that becomes our ally rather than our adversary. To understand the power of inner discipline, let's consider a simple truth. The mind is naturally restless. Left unchecked, it will wander, taking us from one worry to the next, from one regret to another. Stoic thinkers like Marcus Aurelius understood this well. He often spoke about the necessity of disciplining the mind, reminding himself in his writings to stop letting your mind be a slave. What does this mean? It means not allowing our thoughts to control us. It means recognizing that our mind's natural state of wandering must be tamed and focused through discipline. Building this discipline begins with small, deliberate choices. Every day, we are faced with countless decisions, and every one of them offers a chance to exercise control over the mind. For instance, when we wake up, we might feel a surge of worry or dread about the day ahead. But with discipline, we can catch that thought, acknowledge it, and make a conscious decision to redirect our focus toward a purposeful action. This is the heart of Stoic discipline, choosing the thoughts that serve us and dismissing the ones that do not. Seneca emphasized this practice when he said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." By daring to exercise control, to focus our thoughts on what we can control rather than what we cannot, we build a mental muscle that becomes stronger over time. This discipline eventually allows us to observe a negative thought without being swept away by it. We begin to see our thoughts for what they are, mere expressions of the mind, not our identity. Inner discipline requires us to face discomfort, to build resilience in moments when we might feel tempted to give up, or indulge in self-defeating thoughts. It might look like setting aside time each morning to review our goals, practicing silence during moments of frustration, or even refraining from impulsive responses when emotions are high. In these small acts, we exercise control, and in doing so, we reduce the power of negativity. Epictetus, the former slave who rose to become one of the most respected Stoic teachers, understood the need for resilience and inner discipline. He wrote, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This isn't about external achievements, but about a deep inner transformation. It's about becoming a person who can observe, reflect, and decide, rather than react out of habit or emotion. And with this deliberate control over our reactions, we find that our negative thoughts begin to fade in their influence over us. One way to cultivate inner discipline is to practice patience with the mind itself. Rather than fighting every negative thought as it arises, observe it, notice it without judgment, watch as it passes, understanding that thoughts are transient by nature. By not reacting, by simply observing, you build a disciplined mind that doesn't cling to negativity. Each time you observe without reacting, you strengthen the muscle of inner discipline. The power of inner discipline is transformational. It doesn't promise to eliminate every negative thought, but it empowers us to navigate through them without attachment. The Stoics saw discipline as a pathway to freedom, a freedom from the turmoil that undisciplined thoughts bring. When you cultivate this discipline, you begin to see that negativity loses its power, not because you fought it directly, but because you strengthened your own mind to rise above it. Inner discipline allows us to reclaim our peace, our strength, and our clarity. It is one of the most vital habits in the journey to conquer negative thinking. Habit 3. Reframe challenges as opportunities. As humans, we are naturally inclined to resist hardship, to shy away from difficulty. But the Stoics took a radically different approach. They saw challenges as opportunities for growth, as fuel for resilience. And by cultivating the habit of reframing or changing the way we perceive obstacles, we can transform negative thinking into a force for self-improvement and empowerment. Let us reflect on the Stoic belief that the obstacle is the way. This powerful idea, echoed by Marcus Aurelius, suggests that every challenge, every difficulty, is not a roadblock, but a stepping stone. If we train ourselves to view life this way, negative thoughts have far less room to grow. Instead of thinking, "Why did this happen to me?" we begin to ask, "How can I grow from this?" To reframe challenges is to develop mental flexibility. Think of it as training the mind to see beyond immediate discomfort or frustration. When we encounter difficulty, our first instinct might be to react with fear, self-doubt, or anger. But by stepping back and choosing to see the challenge as an opportunity, we shift our focus from what is wrong to what can be learned. This change in perspective can be profoundly liberating. Epictetus taught his students to focus on what is within their control, a core tenet of Stoic philosophy. When we encounter difficulties, he argued, we should look not at the external situation, which we cannot change, but at our own response to it, which we can control. Imagine that you are faced with a setback at work or in a relationship. Instead of letting your mind spiral into negativity, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this experience strengthen me? This shift in thinking turns a potential source of negativity into a source of growth. The practice of reframing can be applied to all aspects of life, from the minor frustrations of daily routines to life's major challenges. When faced with criticism, rather than feeling discouraged, we might choose to see it as an opportunity to improve, to strengthen our skills, or to refine our perspective. When we encounter failure, instead of letting it diminish our confidence, we can use it as a lesson, a guide to help us make better choices in the future. Seneca, in his letters, often reminded his readers that life's hardships are like the training of an athlete. Just as a boxer or wrestler becomes stronger through resistance, we too grow stronger through adversity. She wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Each hardship, when reframed, is a chance to develop resilience, to test and expand our own limits. This habit of reframing does not mean denying difficulty or pretending that everything is easy. Rather, it is a way of looking deeper, of seeing the potential for growth within each challenge. In practical terms, reframing requires us to pause, reflect, and ask ourselves questions. When a negative thought arises in response to a situation, stop and ask, what lesson does this hold? How can I use this to become better? These questions shift your mind from a place of helplessness to a place of strength and control. Reframing also nurtures gratitude. When we train ourselves to see challenges as opportunities, we begin to appreciate life's complexities. We understand that hardship, though painful, is a source of wisdom and growth. We become grateful not only for the pleasant moments, but for the tough ones too, because we recognize their role in shaping our character. Imagine facing a difficult situation, perhaps a lost opportunity or a harsh criticism. If you view it as purely negative, your mind may spiral into self-doubt or anger. But if you reframe it as a chance to grow, you reclaim your power over the situation. You shift from a passive reaction to an active response, turning what could have been a source of negativity into a foundation for inner strength. With each challenge reframed, negativity loses its hold on us. We no longer fear obstacles, we welcome them as tests that reveal our potential. This habit, once deeply ingrained, transforms our outlook on life. Instead of being weighed down by negative thinking, we rise above it, driven by a sense of purpose and resilience. In reframing challenges as opportunities, we learn to navigate life with courage and optimism. We realize that it is not the absence of difficulties that defines a fulfilling life, but our willingness to grow through them. And in this practice, we discover a profound truth: that every obstacle we encounter when reframed is a step toward becoming the strongest, most resilient version of ourselves. Habit 4. Cultivate the art of acceptance. Acceptance is often misunderstood. To many, it sounds like giving up, a passive resignation to one's circumstances. But in Stoic philosophy, acceptance is far from passive. It's a powerful, intentional act of aligning with reality. The Stoics believe that acceptance is one of the highest forms of strength. It requires a person to look life in the eye, acknowledge its hardships, and decide to face them without bitterness. Imagine you're facing a difficult or unpleasant situation. Perhaps it's a loss, a rejection, or a sudden life change. The initial reaction might be to resist, to think, this shouldn't be happening to me, or I wish things were different. These thoughts are a form of mental resistance, and this resistance often fuels more negativity, creating a cycle of suffering. When we resist reality, we are essentially at war with life as it is, wasting energy that could otherwise be channeled toward healing and growth. Marcus Aurelius, in his journal, would remind himself, "Love only what happens, what was destined, no greater harmony." This concept of amor fati, loving one's fate, was not about complacency, but about finding peace with the present moment, no matter how challenging it might be. Instead of saying, "Why me?" Marcus Aurelius would teach us to ask, "How can I work with this?" By accepting what we cannot change, we free ourselves from the emotional burden of resistance, allowing space for healing, wisdom, and even gratitude. Acceptance also means recognizing the limitations of control. The Stoics taught us that there are things we can control, our thoughts, actions, and responses, and there are things we cannot control, like the behavior of others or the unfolding of external events. When we truly understand this distinction, acceptance becomes much easier because we no longer waste time or energy fighting battles we cannot win. This isn't defeatist, it's liberating. Consider a minor inconvenience, like being stuck in traffic. Most people feel irritation, thinking about the wasted time, the delayed arrival, the lack of control over the situation. But a Stoic would take a different approach. They might think, I cannot control this traffic, but I can control my mind. Rather than becoming angry, they would accept the situation, perhaps using the time to reflect, listen to something educational, or simply practice patience. This approach may seem trivial in a minor situation, but it's practice for bigger life challenges. The more you practice acceptance in small moments, the more resilient you become when life presents bigger challenges. Epictetus emphasized acceptance as a foundation for mental peace. He taught that we suffer more from our opinions about events than from the events themselves. If we learn to accept situations as they are, without imposing our personal judgments, we find a profound inner peace. The next time you face a negative thought, ask yourself, is this something within my control, or something I must accept? This simple question can shift your entire mindset, allowing you to release unnecessary negativity and regain a sense of calm. Acceptance also requires patience with ourselves. It's common to feel frustration when we experience negative thoughts, to think, I should be better than this by now, or why can't I stop thinking this way? But acceptance means acknowledging that growth is a process, that setbacks are part of the journey, and that we are human. By accepting our imperfections and treating ourselves with compassion, we foster a more positive and resilient mind. When we cultivate acceptance, we no longer feel the need to resist reality. Instead, we adapt, respond, and grow. Acceptance doesn't mean we stop striving for improvement or change. Rather, it means that we stop draining our energy on what we cannot change, so we can focus fully on what we can. This shift not only reduces negativity, but empowers us to live with a sense of purpose, even in the face of difficulty. Habit 5. Develop emotional resilience. Emotional resilience is the ability to remain calm and balanced, even when faced with challenges, setbacks, or criticisms. It's the strength to weather life's storms without being swept away by intense emotions. In a world that is constantly changing, where challenges are inevitable, developing emotional resilience is essential to overcoming negative thinking. Emotional resilience begins with the recognition that our feelings are responses to our thoughts. When we encounter a negative event, we often react with anger, sadness, or frustration. But these emotions stem not directly from the event, but from our interpretation of it. Stoic philosophy teaches us that events are neutral. It is our perception that gives them meaning. If we train ourselves to view events objectively, we can transform our emotional reactions and build a more resilient mind. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, often advised against letting our emotions take control. In his writings, he reminds us that a wise person controls their emotions but is never controlled by them. When we feel anger, disappointment, or sadness, we must remember that these emotions do not define us. They are temporary states, like clouds passing through a clear sky. Our task is not to push them away, but to observe them without judgment, allowing them to pass without clinging to them. One way to build emotional resilience is to practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is the art of being fully present, observing our thoughts and emotions as they arise, without judgment. When we are mindful, we create a space between ourselves and our emotions. Instead of saying, I am angry, we say, I feel anger. This subtle shift allows us to observe the emotion from a distance, recognizing it as a temporary state rather than a fixed part of our identity. This practice is especially valuable when facing criticism or rejection. It's natural to feel hurt or defensive when we receive criticism, but a resilient mind sees criticism as an opportunity to grow. Instead of reacting emotionally, we can pause, consider the feedback objectively, and decide whether it holds any truth. By doing so, we turn a potentially negative experience into a source of growth. Epictetus taught that we should prepare ourselves for life's challenges so that when they arrive, we are ready. He likened this to an athlete-trainer competition. Just as an athlete builds physical strength through regular exercise, we build emotional resilience through daily practice. Each time we choose to respond calmly, rather than react impulsively, each time we face a challenge with patience, rather than frustration, we strengthen our emotional resilience. Resilience also means learning to be kind to ourselves in moments of difficulty. Many people criticize themselves harshly when they experience negative emotions, believing that they should be stronger or more positive. But resilience requires compassion. It means acknowledging that it's okay to feel disappointment, sadness, or even anger. These emotions are part of being human. The key is not to dwell on them, but to let them pass, recognizing that they are temporary and do not define us. Another way to build resilience is through gratitude. When we focus on what we are grateful for, we shift our perspective from what is lacking to what is present. Gratitude grounds us, reminding us of the good in our lives, even when we face challenges. This practice doesn't deny the reality of difficulty, but balances it with an awareness of life's positive aspects. Each time we practice gratitude, we strengthen our emotional resilience, building a mind that can withstand hardship without succumbing to negativity. Building emotional resilience also involves accepting uncertainty. Life is unpredictable, and attempting to control every outcome only leads to frustration. By embracing uncertainty, by understanding that we cannot predict or prevent every challenge, we cultivate a calm acceptance of life's ups and downs. This acceptance, in turn, builds resilience, enabling us to adapt and remain steady even in the face of the unknown. In summary, emotional resilience is not about suppressing emotions, but about mastering our responses to them. It's the ability to experience life fully, with all its challenges, without losing our inner balance. When we develop this resilience, we no longer fear negative thoughts or emotions. We recognize them as temporary, as part of the human experience, and we meet them with calm, clarity, and strength. This habit empowers us to navigate life's challenges without being overwhelmed, creating a foundation for a mind that is both strong and serene. Habit 6. Embrace patience and the power of time. In a world that demands instant results, patience is a rare and undervalued virtue. Yet, it's one of the most powerful tools we have for overcoming negative thinking and achieving inner calm. Embracing patience allows us to see beyond the urgency of the present moment, helping us to cultivate a mind that is less reactive, more reflective, and ultimately more resilient. Patience isn't about passivity. It's about strength, and it's a core principle in Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that by cultivating patience, we align ourselves with the natural flow of life, rather than fighting against it. When we face a difficult situation, our first reaction is often impatience, driven by a desire to change or escape our circumstances as quickly as possible. But impatience only intensifies negativity, leading to frustration, irritation, and impulsive decisions. Marcus Aurelius reflected on patience as a form of wisdom. In his writings, he would remind himself to wait for things to unfold, trusting that, given time, most problems are either resolved or softened. He knew that the more patient we are, the more clearly we see our challenges, and the less likely we are to be overwhelmed by negative thoughts. Imagine planting a seed and expecting it to bloom instantly. If you become frustrated with its slow growth, you might give up, believing the seed is worthless. But if you're patient, if you nurture it and allow time to work, you will eventually see the fruit of your efforts. The same principle applies to our lives and our minds. Real growth, real transformation, takes time. By learning to wait, we create a space where negative thoughts are less likely to take root, because we understand that our present challenges are temporary, part of a larger process of growth. Patience also involves letting go of our attachment to specific outcomes. Often negativity arises when we cling too tightly to a certain vision of how things should be. We feel frustrated when reality doesn't match our expectations, and this disconnect fuels a sense of dissatisfaction. The Stoics taught that by embracing patience, we also embrace the unpredictable nature of life. Seneca once said, "Time heals what reason cannot." In other words, some things simply require time to settle, resolve, or reveal their purpose. Patience is especially powerful in our relationships. It's easy to feel irritated or disappointed by others when they don't meet our expectations. But if we approach others with patience, understanding that they too are on their own journeys, we experience less frustration and more compassion. We begin to see that everyone is growing, evolving, and facing challenges just as we are. This perspective shift transforms our relationships, reducing conflicts and misunderstandings, and allowing us to connect with others on a deeper level. When we embrace patience, we stop looking for quick fixes. Instead, we learn to appreciate the slow, steady progress that comes from consistent effort. This approach not only reduces negative thinking, but also builds self-confidence, as we see that we can overcome challenges, no matter how long it takes. We start to trust ourselves, understanding that we are capable of handling whatever comes our way, no matter how difficult or prolonged it may be. Patience also means being gentle with ourselves. Many people struggle with self-criticism, believing they should be further along in their personal growth, or that they should have already eliminated all negative thoughts. But real change is gradual, and lasting transformation requires time and patience. When we accept this, we free ourselves from the pressure to be perfect, allowing us to progress at our own pace without unnecessary negativity. In summary, patience is a powerful antidote to negative thinking. By embracing the natural pace of life, by allowing time to work its magic, we create a mind that is calm, resilient, and wise. Patience teaches us that everything has its season, that challenges are temporary, and that with time and steady effort, we can overcome anything. This mindset not only reduces negativity, but also opens us to a richer, more meaningful life. Habit 7. Practice self-compassion. Self-compassion is one of the most transformative habits for overcoming negative thinking. It involves treating ourselves with the same kindness, understanding, and forgiveness that we would extend to a friend. Many people find it easier to be compassionate toward others, but struggle to apply the same gentleness to themselves. However, self-compassion is essential for mental health, resilience, and personal growth. Negative thinking often arises from a harsh inner critic, a voice that constantly points out our flaws, reminds us of our failures, and amplifies our insecurities. This inner critic is relentless, and it feeds on our mistakes, fueling a cycle of self-doubt and negativity. But the Stoics taught that we should be our own allies rather than our harshest critics. Epictetus reminded us that we cannot control the thoughts of others, but we can learn to govern our own minds. This includes silencing the inner critic and replacing it with a voice of kindness. Self-compassion isn't about avoiding responsibility or excusing poor behavior. It's about acknowledging our humanity, recognizing that we all make mistakes, and understanding that failure is part of the learning process. Instead of punishing ourselves, self-compassion invites us to learn from our experiences, forgive ourselves, and move forward with a renewed sense of purpose. When we practice self-compassion, we cultivate a supportive inner environment where negative thoughts are less likely to take hold because we feel safe, valued, and understood. A practical way to practice self-compassion is to reframe how we speak to ourselves. When you catch yourself thinking negatively, ask yourself, would I say this to a friend? If the answer is no, then rephrase it with more kindness. For example, instead of thinking, I can't believe I messed up again, I'll never get it right, try saying, mistakes are part of learning, and I'm doing my best. This small shift in language can make a profound difference in how we feel about ourselves and can help break the cycle of negative thinking. Another way to cultivate self-compassion is through mindfulness. Often, we get caught up in negative thoughts without even realizing it, allowing them to shape our mood and behavior unconsciously. By practicing mindfulness, we learn to observe our thoughts with detachment, recognizing them as mental events rather than absolute truths. This awareness allows us to catch negative thinking patterns early, giving us the opportunity to replace them with more compassionate perspectives. Self-compassion also involves recognizing our strengths and accomplishments. Many people are quick to focus on their shortcomings, but rarely acknowledge their successes. Take time to appreciate your efforts, no matter how small they may seem. Celebrate your progress, recognizing that growth is a journey, not a destination. This habit not only reduces negative thinking, but also builds confidence, resilience, and a sense of inner peace. One of the most powerful aspects of self-compassion is that it creates space for healing. When we are hard on ourselves, we tend to suppress our emotions, pushing away pain, fear, or sadness. But self-compassion allows us to face these feelings with kindness, giving ourselves permission to feel and process them. This gentle approach helps us release emotional baggage, making room for positivity, clarity, and growth. Self-compassion also strengthens our relationships. When we are compassionate toward ourselves, we become less judgmental and more accepting of others. We stop projecting our insecurities onto those around us, allowing for deeper, more authentic connections. This positive ripple effect enhances not only our mental well-being, but also our social interactions, reducing conflicts and increasing empathy. To summarize, self-compassion is a transformative habit that breaks the cycle of negative thinking. By treating ourselves with kindness, understanding, and forgiveness, we create a supportive inner environment that fosters growth, resilience, and peace. Self-compassion reminds us that we are human, that it's okay to make mistakes, and that we are worthy of love and acceptance. This mindset not only reduces negativity, but also empowers us to live with a sense of self-worth and joy. Habit 8. Reframe challenges as opportunities. One of the most powerful ways to combat negative thinking is to change the way we view challenges. Often, we see difficulties as setbacks, failures, or reasons to doubt ourselves, which fuels a cycle of negative thoughts. But by shifting our mindset and seeing challenges as opportunities for growth, we transform obstacles into powerful learning experiences. This is the essence of resilience, a skill that is essential for mental strength and clarity. In Stoic philosophy, there is a concept called amor fati, love of one's fate. It's the idea of embracing everything that happens, good or bad, as a necessary part of life. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminded himself to love everything that happens to you, for everything is in your nature's interest. This doesn't mean ignoring pain or denying difficulty. Rather, it's about recognizing that every experience, no matter how challenging, has something valuable to teach us. By reframing our challenges as opportunities, we build a mindset that is adaptable, curious, and open to growth, effectively blocking the roots of negative thinking. Imagine facing a setback at work, like missing a deadline or receiving critical feedback. The initial response might be frustration, disappointment, or self-criticism. But if we reframe the situation, asking, "What can I learn from this?" we shift our focus from the negative to the constructive. Perhaps the missed deadline reveals a need for better time management, or the critical feedback highlights an area for improvement. This shift in perspective not only reduces negative thoughts, but also empowers us to take proactive steps forward, turning a potential setback into a stepping stone for growth. Reframing challenges also means embracing uncertainty. Many people struggle with negative thinking because they feel anxious about the unknown or fear failure. But when we see challenges as opportunities, we start to view uncertainty as a natural part of the process. Life is inherently unpredictable, and every new experience, whether we succeed or stumble, adds to our understanding and resilience. This mindset allows us to face challenges with curiosity instead of fear, transforming anxiety into excitement and reducing the hold of negative thinking. Reframing also applies to personal struggles, like feeling stuck in a rut or facing a difficult relationship. Instead of viewing these situations as purely negative, we can ask ourselves, what is this teaching me about myself? Perhaps a difficult relationship teaches us about boundaries, communication, or patience. Or feeling stuck prompts us to explore new interests, rediscover passions, or make a significant life change. By seeing these situations as opportunities for self-discovery, we reduce their negative impact on our mental state and cultivate a habit of lifelong growth. The practice of reframing challenges isn't about forcing a positive outlook. Rather, it's about finding meaning and purpose in every experience. When we do this, we become less prone to negative thoughts, as we see life as a journey of continuous learning rather than a series of fixed outcomes. This approach also fosters gratitude, as we begin to appreciate even the difficult moments for what they bring into our lives. Ultimately, reframing challenges as opportunities is a habit that strengthens our resilience and mental flexibility. It allows us to navigate life with a sense of empowerment rather than defeat, understanding that every obstacle has something valuable to offer. This mindset not only reduces negative thinking, but also builds a foundation for lasting inner peace, as we learn to trust ourselves and embrace life in all its complexity. Habit 9. Cultivate a strong inner dialogue. Our thoughts shape our reality, and the way we talk to ourselves determines how we perceive the world. If we allow negative self-talk to dominate, we create a mental environment where self-doubt, fear, and pessimism thrive. But by cultivating a strong, positive inner dialogue, we can replace self-criticism with self-encouragement, transforming our mindset from one of limitation to one of potential. The Stoics were very aware of the importance of inner dialogue. Epictetus emphasized that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Our reactions are largely shaped by our inner dialogue, by the way we interpret events and speak to ourselves about them. A strong inner dialogue is not about avoiding negative thoughts altogether, but rather learning to respond to them with strength, resilience, and clarity. One of the most effective ways to build a strong inner dialogue is to practice affirmations. Affirmations are positive statements that reinforce our values, strengths, and potential. For example, instead of thinking, "I'm not good enough for this," we can replace it with, "I have the skills and determination to improve and succeed." While this might feel unfamiliar at first, consistent practice rewires our brains to adopt a more supportive and empowering inner voice. Another technique is to challenge negative thoughts as they arise. When we catch ourselves thinking, "I'll never succeed at this," we can question the validity of that thought. Is it true? What evidence do we have to support or contradict it? Often, we find that our negative thoughts are based on assumptions or fears rather than facts. By challenging these thoughts, we weaken their hold on us and replace them with a more realistic and balanced perspective. Visualization is another powerful tool for cultivating a strong inner dialogue. When we visualize ourselves achieving a goal, handling a challenging situation, or even just feeling calm and confident, we create a mental blueprint that our minds begin to follow. Visualization reinforces positive beliefs and helps us internalize a supportive inner voice, reducing the likelihood of negative thoughts taking control. It's also important to surround ourselves with positive influences, whether through books, mentors, or inspirational content. The people and ideas we expose ourselves to shape our thoughts. So by choosing influences that encourage growth and positivity, we support the development of a strong inner dialogue. A strong inner dialogue also involves self-compassion. Instead of beating ourselves up over mistakes or shortcomings, we can remind ourselves that growth takes time and that everyone experiences setbacks. By speaking to ourselves with kindness and encouragement, we create an inner environment where negativity has little room to thrive. The benefits of a strong inner dialogue are profound. It builds confidence, resilience, and a sense of inner peace. When we believe in ourselves and speak to ourselves with respect and encouragement, we create a mental framework that supports our goals and aspirations. This mindset not only reduces negative thinking, but also empowers us to face life's challenges with courage and optimism. In summary, cultivating a strong inner dialogue is about creating a positive mental space where we feel supported and capable. It's about replacing self-doubt with self-belief and transforming criticism into encouragement. This habit, practiced consistently, reshapes our perception of ourselves and our potential, allowing us to live with greater purpose and fulfillment. Habit 10. Align your actions with your values. The final habit for overcoming negative thinking is to align your actions with your core values. Living in alignment with our values not only gives life meaning and purpose, but also silences much of the negativity that arises from inner conflict and self-doubt. When we know what we stand for and actively live by those principles, we cultivate a sense of integrity that shields us from negativity, making our thoughts more focused, our choices more deliberate, and our lives more fulfilled. In Stoic philosophy, living according to one's values is central to a life of virtue. Marcus Aurelius, for example, repeatedly reminded himself to act in accordance with his nature and principles. To the Stoics, values like wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice were non-negotiable. These values formed the foundation of a well-lived life, a life where negative thoughts held less sway because the individual knew they were acting in alignment with what mattered most. But aligning our actions with our values requires us to first understand what those values are. Many people struggle with negativity because they feel lost or disconnected from a clear sense of purpose. By identifying our values, whether it's integrity, kindness, perseverance, or authenticity, we create a guiding compass for our decisions and behaviors. This clarity reduces the mental noise and second-guessing that often fuel negative thoughts. Take a moment to reflect on what matters most to you. What qualities do you admire in others? What principles guide your decisions when you're at your best? By clarifying these values, we set a foundation for decision-making that is rooted in integrity. When faced with a difficult choice or a stressful situation, we can ask ourselves, is this in line with my values? This question simplifies our choices and helps us avoid actions that lead to regret, self-doubt, and negativity. When we act in ways that conflict with our values, negativity arises as a form of inner resistance, a signal that we are straying from our true path. For example, if honesty is one of your values, but you compromise it to gain someone's approval, negative thoughts might surface, fueled by regret or self-reproach. But when our actions align with our values, we we cultivate peace of mind, knowing we have acted with integrity. This peace is a powerful antidote to negative thinking, as it frees us from the inner conflicts that create stress and doubt. Aligning with our values also builds resilience. Life inevitably brings challenges and setbacks, but when we have a strong sense of purpose, we're better equipped to handle adversity. Instead of focusing on the negative aspects of a situation, we view it through the lens of our values. A person who values growth, for instance, might see a setback as an opportunity to learn, while someone who values perseverance will view challenges as a chance to demonstrate resilience. This perspective shift reduces negativity, as we see obstacles not as threats, but as opportunities to live out our principles. Living in alignment with our values also influences our relationships. When we act with integrity, we build trust with those around us. Our interactions become more authentic, reducing the likelihood of misunderstandings and conflicts that can lead to negative thoughts. By staying true to our values, we attract like-minded individuals, creating a supportive social environment that fosters positivity. Finally, aligning our actions with our values fosters self-respect. When we know we are acting in accordance with our principles, we develop a sense of pride and confidence in who we are. This self-respect silences the voice of negativity, as we no longer need to seek validation or approval from others. We become our own source of encouragement and affirmation, grounded in the knowledge that we are living a life of purpose and integrity. In summary, aligning our actions with our values is a transformative habit that reduces negative thinking by fostering inner peace, resilience, and self-respect. When we live according to our principles, we create a mental environment where negativity has little room to thrive. This habit not only empowers us to overcome challenges with grace, but also allows us to live a life of fulfillment, purpose, and true happiness. Final thoughts. The path to mental freedom. Negative thinking is a powerful force, but it's not insurmountable. Each of these habits, whether it's practicing gratitude, cultivating patience, or aligning with your values, offers a pathway to freedom from the mental chains of self-doubt, fear, and regret. By integrating these habits into your daily life, you create a mind that is resilient, calm, and centered. The journey toward mental freedom is not about reaching a state of perfect positivity. It's about building a mind that is equipped to handle both the joys and challenges of life with wisdom and grace. Remember, even the Stoic philosophers, who are revered for their insights into the mind, experienced moments of doubt and struggle. But through these habits and practices, they cultivated a mindset that allowed them to face life's difficulties with courage, clarity, and composure. For those of you, the wisdom seekers who are committed to this journey, know that every small step you take, every time you choose gratitude over resentment, patience over frustration, or kindness over self-criticism, you are transforming your mind into a sanctuary of peace. These habits are not quick fixes. They are lifelong practices. But with each day, each choice, you'll find that negative thinking holds less power over you. Instead, you'll experience a growing sense of inner strength, purpose, and clarity. As you move forward, remember the words of Seneca: as long as you live, keep learning how to live. This journey is ongoing, and with each lesson learned, you'll find yourself better equipped to master the game of life. Not by seeking perfection, but by embracing the wisdom, resilience, and peace that come from a mind free of negativity. Thank you, wisdom seekers, for embarking on this journey toward a life of clarity, strength, and fulfillment.